You're watching Money Talks with me, Jafar Hasnan. Coming up on the program, the strong sales for Nvidia, but hopes dented by U.S. tariffs. Turkey's GDP soars, expanding growth by 3%, and Ethiopia eyes EV revolution boosted by new projects. Nvidia's profits and revenue soared in the fourth quarter as the artificial intelligence boom keeps fueling demand for its advanced chips. The tech giant remains the dominant force in AI accelerators, and its latest earnings show that its extraordinary success is far from over. Sales continue to surge, driven by Nvidia's data center graphics processing units. The tech giant posted a 78% jump in revenues to top $39 billion in the quarter to the end of January, while full-year sales more than doubled to $130.5 billion. Net income reached $22.1 billion, an 80% increase from a year earlier. That is even as operating expenses surged by 50% due to the transition to the more complex and higher-cost Blackwell systems. For the first quarter, Nvidia expects revenue around $43 billion, just above analyst expectations. That still marks a 65% growth from a year ago, though it is a slowdown from last year's explosive gains of 262%. But despite a strong result, Nvidia's stock plunged about 8% after the earnings report. That is, as investors reacted to what they saw as solid but not spectacular figures. The drop wiped out $275 billion in market value, a sharp setback for a stock that has been among Wall Street's top performers in the AI boom. For more on this, we are joined by Professor Dr. Dennis Kenji Kipker in Frankfurt, Germany. He's a research director at Cyberintelligence.Institute. Great to have you here with us on Money Talk. So Nvidia posted another strong quarter, but its stock still took a hit. What does this say about investor expectations?
Yeah, so I think we have seen a massive rise in AI investment. And in my opinion, the influx of massive AI research investments from tech giants such as Nvidia, Microsoft, Alibaba, but also Apple will profoundly reshape the AI industry in the coming years by accelerating innovation on one hand, but also possibly democratizing access and intensifying competition. And these investments will also possibly fuel some breakthroughs in fundamental AI research, also including Nvidia, leading to some more sophisticated algorithms, possibly powerful models and novel applications across various sectors.
Right, and Nvidia's revenue grew by 78% and net income by 80%, yet growth is slowing compared to last year's explosive gains. So tell me, should this be a concern for investors?
This shouldn't be a concern for investors because we have seen that Nvidia had a very high rise in the last month and the last years. So it is quite clear that expectations cannot be fulfilled in the same way that it had been in the past. And it is also to say that the AI investment is not a unified approach that we see here. So we can have some technological developments that can still influence investments here. So in my opinion, there is no need to worry for AI investors currently regarding Nvidia.
Right, and some analysts argue here that Nvidia's valuation has become too stretched. Do you think this correction is overdue now?
Yes, it is definitely overdue. So we had a high rise in these investments during the last years, and Nvidia has really been a competition breaker in the global economy. And what we currently see is just a correction of these expectations that we had in the past. And in my opinion, this is not a comparable approach that Nvidia is getting slower in technology development or something else. So I still see that there is a bright investment future here regarding Nvidia stocks.
Right, and Nvidia has been a key driver, as you know, of the AI rally in markets. Could this post-earnings drop signal a broader cool down in AI-related stocks?
This can currently be very difficult to be set because we see that there are a lot of rivals such as Microsoft, Alibaba, Apple, and also DeepSeek, and they all create their own AI systems. And we had a very huge rush in the recent months regarding AI technology. And now it will be seen whether there are certain players that get bigger, that get stronger, than Nvidia had been in the past. So I see currently the situation that a lot of further companies are coming onto the market, and this might also be or result in some corrections of expectations.
Dr. Kipker, thanks very much for joining me today here on Money Talks.
Thank you.
The electric vehicle sector is gaining momentum in Ethiopia as innovative partnerships drive transformative changes. Market observers are watching with keen interest as new infrastructure projects promise to modernize transport and stimulate economic growth. Dodai has joined forces with Ethiopian Investment Holdings to install 100 battery swap stations in Addis Ababa. The project is scheduled for completion within 12 months to address key infrastructure gaps. This initiative is projected to generate significant economic growth and bolster local stock performances. A comprehensive 12-month rollout is planned across Ethiopia's major cities. The new battery swap model aims to rapidly advance the adoption of electric vehicles. Market analysts expect this move to drive investor confidence and improve economic indicators in the EV sector. Economic forecasts suggest a potential 25% uplift in stock values linked to this EV initiative. Investors are encouraged by the innovative approach by solving infrastructure challenges. The partnership is anticipated to act as a catalyst for sustainable growth and boost the regional economy. For more on this, we are joined by Yuma Sasaki in Addis Ababa. He is the founder and CEO of Dodai. Great to have you here with us on Money Talk. So first and foremost, how will the new EV partnership impact local infrastructure in the country?
Thank you very much for having me. There's huge opportunity for Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is becoming obviously the hub for e-mobility. The Ethiopia government has been very, very supportive for e-mobility industry. For example, it gives the incentive for e-mobility for basically import duty free. On top of that, for the first time in the history, I believe it's the only country in the world that banned any fuel, petrol vehicles imports. So as a result, they push e-mobility really hard. But of course, there's a challenge, and challenge is that infrastructure. Still, we experience power outage sometimes, even though in total, the country has surplus energy. So that's where we want to come in. Partnership allow us to have 100 battery swap stations, where anybody of e-motorbike users, they don't have to worry about charging by themselves because we charge already and we are waiting for them. That should push the e-commerce and gig worker economies. And obviously the government, the partnership with the EIH will play a big role.
Right. And Yuma, I think the big question here is what economic benefits are anticipated from this rollout? Because certainly that is something that is on everyone's mind.
Yeah, so Dodai, we have the mantra, one bike equal one job. There are a couple of elements here, but let's start with the simple one in case of Ethiopia. Ethiopia, per distance, electricity is more than 20 times cheaper than the gasoline. And then now gasoline prices are soaring for many reasons. So as a result, people who use fuel bikes, they shift to e-motorbikes, or they use cars for rideshare services. Driver move to electric vehicles, automatically 20% less operating cost, right? So you spend $200 and it's going to be $10. That's the scale of, first of all, economic incentives. And the reason that we want to do battery swapping is very simple. On top of that, we want to make sure that initial purchase cost is affordable for customers. In battery swapping models, we, the business operator, owns all the thousands of batteries. As a result, customers don't have to pay for batteries, which is usually 50% of the total initial cost. They only purchase vehicle without the battery, which means 50% less initial cost. So in that way, we can make the e-motorbikes through battery swapping even more affordable. And then that has a significant impact on their, the economics when it comes to how much money at the end they can bring back. The money that they can make by delivery businesses as a gig worker is important part, but most of the money disappears because of gasoline right now. But shifting to e-motorbikes, they can save up 20 times operating cost, and then
Right.
we lower the initial cost as well.
Fascinating insights. Yuma Sasaki, thanks very much for joining me today here on Money Talks.
Thank you.
In a unique form of protest, over 1,000 British musicians have come together to release a silent album. This collective action challenges proposed UK copyright law changes that could allow artificial intelligence companies to use the work of artists without explicit permission. Tulay Kalyon Hasni Darolu reports.
The Sound of Silence. The album titled Is This What We Want features 12 tracks of complete silence, an artistic statement against the UK government's proposed changes to copyright law. The project includes musical heavyweights such as Kate Bush, Damon Albarn and Yusuf Islam.
There is no choice but to campaign about this really salient issue. Generative AI competes with the work that it's trained on and the people behind that work. And that's why this is so terrible. We're not saying get rid of AI, but all of us, thousands of musicians who've come together, are absolutely adamant that we need to protect the value of copyright. Copyright protects our work, but also it enables us to create new music and create great content for the music industry. It's absolutely terrible that the blue chip companies are effectively going to be profiting from all our work before we've even released it.
In late 2024, the UK government proposed changes to copyright law that would let artificial intelligence companies to train their models using copyrighted works without a license. According to UK Music's 2024 annual economic report, the industry's contribution to the economy in 2023 hit a record $9.6 billion in terms of gross value added. UK music export revenue in 2023 also reached a new high of $5.8 billion. And total UK music industry employment hit a record 216,000. But now the UK music industry faces challenges from AI that threaten its world-leading status.
We are worth billions to the UK economy and we employ millions of people. And it's copyright, which is gold standard and globally renowned, that enables us to be huge exporters of our creative output and our creative work. So it simply doesn't make sense at a time when we're all focused on economic growth and the creative industries is one of those 8 priority sectors to be handing over our crown jewels without permission, without payment, for free.
The UK government says the proposed changes aim to balance the advancement of AI technology with the rights of content creators, but many musicians disagree. British musicians aren't the first creative workers to fight for protection from AI, and they certainly won't be the last. In 2023, American screenwriters protested against AI and they won. Now let's see if British music makers can do the same. Profits from the album will be donated to the musicians' charity Help Musicians. And although the album is completely silent, the message is loud and clear. The British government mustn't legalize music theft to benefit AI companies. Tulay Kalyon, Hasni Darolu, TRT World, London.
Now, Donald Trump's latest tariff shock is shaking global markets. He announced that Canada and Mexico will face 25% tariffs starting March 4, nearly a month earlier than expected. China will also see an additional 10% tariff on its goods from the same date. Beijing says it hopes Washington will avoid making the same mistake again. It has sent Asian markets tumbling and the dollar reinforcing, also prompting the largest weekly sell-off for the yen. Farah Murad is a senior market analyst at Equity Group. She says investors still have no clues about how these planned tariffs will impact global economies.
At the moment, we can definitely see some potential support for the economy. Definitely, it will support the domestic production. Now, as for the domestic demand, that's the key question. To be very honest with you, we lack clarity. We still don't know how each sector will be affected. We still don't know how the retaliation would look like from Canada and from Mexico. So it is more guessing game at the moment, how Canada will react, how China as well would react, and how Mexico would react to this news. There's definitely some good, some bad. How it will be affecting the economy on long term, it might be beneficial for the US economy, but there's definitely pressure. Inflation pressure, for example, consumption might drop definitely on the short term and on the midterm.
Now, Turkey's economy grew more than expected in the fourth quarter, despite high interest rates aimed at curbing inflation. GDP expanded by 3% in the final 3 months of the year, bringing full-year growth to 3.2%. This marks an acceleration from 2.2% in the third quarter and 2.4% in the second quarter, thanks to increased household spending. The country's central bank raised its benchmark rate by 4,150 basis points to cool inflation before beginning rate cuts last December, following signs of improvement. Consumer price growth slowed for the 8th consecutive month in January to reach its lowest level since June 2023, suggesting the country is making progress in tackling inflation. Meanwhile, the interdisciplinary artificial intelligence project fair hosted by Ankara University has brought together academia, industry, and public institutions in the Turkish capital. The event will showcase AI projects in different areas with panel discussions and opportunities for collaboration. Asli Atbaş reports.
Artificial intelligence is rapidly shaping the future, and here at the Turkish capital, leaders from academia, industry, and public institutions are joining forces to unlock its full potential. In a dynamic event that brings together experts and innovators, as well as Maya, Turkey's first academician robot, domestically produced by Turkish companies, a spotlight is being cast on the transformative power of AI in healthcare, education, and engineering. From groundbreaking projects to new collaboration opportunities, this event is set to pave the way for a new era of innovation and commercialization.
Turkey is one of the fastest growing countries in the world in many areas and sectors. Artificial intelligence is very important in the development of a product, in the increase of its market share, and in its transformation into a new commercial products. In other words, it has a catalyst effect. Here at Ankara University, we aim to support the steps taken by Turkey to make its place stronger in this developing world.
There are a couple of projects which is very interesting, especially for the health sector. We have capabilities to detect the cancer, and also we are combining artificial intelligence for the prediction of the diseases and also the patient's overall survival. So there are a couple of interesting projects in Ankara University, and we would like to invite all industrial partners and specialty ventures to come and have a look at all these projects.
Now, within hours of taking office, Donald Trump announced a 90-day freeze on foreign aid. Among the affected projects, a crucial water initiative in Pakistan's southern region that is also the hottest place in Asia. So how will the people of Jacobabad cope? Lara Kilic Arslan reports.
Jacobabad, a city in southern Pakistan, is used to extreme heat. In 2022, it was the hottest city in the world. Temperatures here often climb above 50 centigrade degrees. It's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. People face critical health problems like dehydration and heat stroke. Back in 2012, hope arrived in the form of a $66 million lifeline from USAID. The plan was simple: provide access to fresh, filtered water. To make it happen, they set out to upgrade water supplies and the sanitation systems by pumping water from a canal 22 kilometers away. For 350,000 people, it was a miracle: 1.5 million gallons of clean water every day. It worked until now. HANS, the Pakistani Health and Nutrition Development Society, is a non-profit organization. They report that the recent funding freeze from the US government has cut $1.5 million of income. 47 staff who manage the water purification and maintain the infrastructure have been sent home. Unless new money is found, the project is at risk of shutting down in just a few months. Noor Ahmed, an 18-year-old student, expressed concern.
Jacobabad, the hottest city in Pakistan, experiences extreme heat. If we do not get this water in the summer, we will face serious difficulties. Water is an essential part of life. Without it, survival is impossible, whether for humans, animals, or any other living beings. Water is the most important necessity for us.
Residents fear a return to the dangerous private water supplies they once relied upon. Expensive, contaminated water from donkey-drawn tankers.
The dirty water we used to buy was harmful to our health, and falling ill would cost us even more.
Since everything is just suspended, so we have to withdraw our staff and we have to withdraw our all services for this water project. But water is more than a life-saving medicine. Water is life.
Due to climate change, heat waves are more common, becoming fiercer and more deadly. Pakistan is now calling for global support to tackle this problem, and Jacobabad's residents are desperately hoping the US will reconsider its freeze on funding. Lara Kulcharsan, TRT World.
Now, Vietnam has long been seen as a rising economic star in Asia. However, it faces a major hurdle: aging infrastructure. The country's rail network is one of the least developed in Southeast Asia, holding back further growth. As TRT World's Umar Bakarulu reports, the government now wants to change this.
From congested roads to inefficient ports and underdeveloped rail system for businesses operating in Vietnam, the realities of the country's transportation infrastructure can be a major headache. Bottlenecks and delays are common, especially for those moving goods between key manufacturing hubs and ports. This means higher logistic costs and missed opportunities in global markets. Now, the government is taking a major step to address these challenges. Last week, it approved plans for a new $8 billion railway that will connect its largest northern port city to border with China. Partially funded by loans from Beijing, the project aims to streamline trade between the two key partners and unlock Vietnam's economic potential.
Trade between China and Vietnam is already absolutely massive. And this railway, it's designed to make this trade faster, cheaper, and more predictable as well. So currently, China supplies much of the raw materials that fuels Vietnam's manufacturing sector. And keeping that pipeline steady is absolutely critical.
The 390-kilometer track will pass through some of Vietnam's key industrial zones, home to global manufacturers like Samsung and Foxconn. Many of these companies rely heavily on a steady flow of components from China, making the railway a critical link in the region's supply chain.
So right now, too much of that traffic depends on trucks, which are of course slower, costlier, and also prone to border bottlenecks. A modern rail link cuts through those inefficiencies, ensuring that goods move smoothly, whether they're flowing into Vietnam's factories or heading to global markets via Haiphong's port.
Beyond boosting trade, the project is also expected to relieve traffic congestion. An issue has made Vietnam's roads some of the most clogged in the region.
If there is a new route, it will be even more convenient. I travel by train regularly and rarely travel by car. Although my house is located on the route between Haiphong and Hanoi, and we have a car, I never travel by car.
I personally enjoy traveling to experience and admire the scenery, so traveling by train makes more sense. On the train, I can enjoy the surrounding landscape and get a more objective perspective. When traveling by plane, the trip is short and I don't have much opportunity to experience anything.
The project is expected to take around 6 years to complete, and it aligns with Vietnam's vision of becoming an industrialized nation by mid-century. But given the country's track record of delayed infrastructure projects, this journey could take longer than planned. Umar Bakarulu, TRT World.
And if you have any stories you would like our reporters to look into or any questions for our experts, you can send us a post on X at TRT Money Talks. Well, that is all from me here at Money Talks, from me and the whole team here in Istanbul. Thanks for watching.